Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Jada Toys Robocop Light Action Robocop 1.0. Figure includes light-up visor, weapons also included. There's a try me button on the front, but Spot will refrain from doing that just so you can have something to look forward to when Spot opens it up. On the side, the new rebooted Robocop in an armor that I'm sure not many people like. It does include two LR4 button cell batteries, so luckily you don't have to worry about putting new batteries in when you first get it. On the back, Light Up Action Robocop 1.0 and 3.0 figures. Light Up visor, two weapons included. It says, in the year 2028 and the city of Detroit is fighting a massive crime wave. Alex Murphy is a good cop trying to stop it. When he is critically injured, Omnicorps uses their amazing robot technology to save his life and to transform Alex into Robocop. Part man, part robot, all cop. Omnicorps thinks they own Alex and his amazing new robotic abilities, but they forget one thing. There is still a man inside the machine. Be on the lookout for other figures available. 1.0 Robocop and 3.0 Robocop in the 3 3/4 inch size. There's also the police cruiser with Robocop 3.0, which I would imagine the figure probably is molded to the bike, and one of the reasons why I probably won't end up picking him up. There's the police cruiser radio control bike and a talking Robocop 3.0. To see our entire line of products, visit us at jadatoys.com. What I am going to do is take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we are going to get a better look at the Light Up Action Robocop 1.0. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. For those that picked up the 3 3/4 inch Robocop, you'll see probably that the figure not only shares for the most part, the same looking sculpt, but also the same accessories. His two accessories included, one of which being the rifle, the arm-mounted rifle. You can take the rifle and put it into his hand, like so. This one hand, the robotic hand, is a little harder to get stuff into as it is a closer, as it is a more closed fist. But you can get something that looks like that. He also comes with his updated Auto 9 hand weapon. I'm not even sure if they call it the Auto 9 in the remake, but he does come with a smaller handgun. My problem with it, even though he does hold the gun, and I do like the fact that at least his trigger, his middle finger or his trigger finger actually goes around the trigger of the gun. You have something that looks like that. His hands, though, are really closed in. In fact, let's take the hand out. You can see it's an extremely closed-in hand. So the broader handle of the gun, you have to put a little extra pressure in there the first time around to get it in there. By a comparison, I'm going to bring in the smaller 3 3/4 inch scale Robocop. He goes really to about his waist, but the articulation would be roughly about the same. The only difference is really more so in the head. Now moving him out of the way, just take the guns out of his hand. And let's have a look at his face. His face, for some reason, still plagued by the problem that you have such a tough time seeing his mouth. It's almost as if they put too much paint in the lower face section of that visor, right underneath the visor, that his mouth becomes almost invisible. It's only really by when you start looking really close at it that you can say, okay, I can see a little bit of the mouth, but it's not really there. Even a simple wash of a secondary color would have brought that detail out of the mouth. Also, unlike the 3 3/4 inch Robocop, which we'll bring in for a second, he's got a more predominant, I want to say, Adam's apple right underneath his chin. Something that I didn't really notice initially, but then when I'm looking at it again, I'm like, he looks like he's got a really large Adam's apple right below his mouth. It also doesn't help that it makes it look like his neck is a little too bulky. If it only was just trimmed back a bit, and I say this only because it very well may not even be the toy, it could be just the design of Robocop that they put that in there, but it just makes his neck look a little too bulky. He's got the same coloring and same details in his head and helmet that he did in the smaller scale figure. The only difference is he does have a light up function. The light up function is featured down below, right underneath his chest plate here. You can see there is an outline of a button right there. When you press it in right like so, it does light up. You can see right there. It lights up pretty good, actually. My concern, though, is how often you may be pressing it. I don't know if changing this battery, which I don't think you can, I'm worried how long this battery is going to last, because once it's gone, at least you're going to have a posable Robocop. That I don't mind. But you're not gonna, it doesn't look like you're going to be able to change out the batteries. There's a couple of screw holes here, but it looks like the majority of his body is all sealed. And I think even on the packaging it said non-replaceable, so once this function goes with the light up functionality, it's gone. It's gone for good. Also, having the gimmick of the light up feature, it does hinder his articulation in the head. The head still rotates left, still rotates right, but he doesn't have any articulation or any hinge back, and moving any further than that, you could run the risk of damaging the wires and everything else in the neck. But you can get it to about there. It really doesn't let you go any further than that. Still, for purists, you probably do like this look of Robocop because it's still the more traditional vintage style suit. Just a slight updated tweak. Still present the hand, which, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we don't even know to what extent this hand plays in the movie. He may very well lose it. But I know some people don't like the idea that he has a hand. Other articulation on the light-up Robocop, aside from the head that we've already looked at, his shoulders are on a hinge. I say hinge the term very loosely, because you can move his arms out, but that's about it. You can't move him any further than that, which was slightly the same issue that the 3.0 Robocop had. It's likely due to this piece right here. In fact, let's move the camera in so you can get a better look. Right here, because that's sculpted the way it is, as soon as it hits, that arm isn't going to go any further back. Not that you would need Robocop's arms to go any more than that anyways. He still does have the rotation back and forth, which is fine. He does still have a hinge in the elbow, which doesn't really allow him to bend it all that much. It's pretty much to that point there, and then he can't bend it any further. It does rotate at the forearm. No rotation in the hand. None whatsoever. He has no rotation, obviously, in the upper torso. The chest, none of this actually rotates because this is all electronics here. And then the legs go slightly out. Slightly out. They go forward. They go back. But to really only about there. The biggest culprit is, for most of these joints, the biggest culprit is the sculpt on the piece. Again, this leg, as soon as it butts up against itself, it pretty much renders moving the leg any further back. It renders it obsolete. He does have a hinge in the leg, which also allows the leg to rotate side to side, and he has no articulation in the foot. This would be a great figure to have because A, it doesn't rely solely on a gimmick. It's not just a completely statued piece. While it doesn't have a lot of articulation in the arms, it's at least better than just a straight swiveled arm. Jada Toys, I think, did a pretty good job. I mean, I think a lot of people still probably wanted a different manufacturer to jump on board and produce these pieces, but I think they still did a pretty good job. By comparison to, say, the Tron Legacy figures that we got, Jada Toys, I think, did a pretty solid job on the Robocop line. While you may not necessarily like the reboot or the design of Robocop, the figure as a whole worked out pretty good. The idea of changing, though, batteries, that's disappointing, but for the time being, I can still enjoy that he has a light-up visor. Robocop, I'm going to give him a 7. Today's toy spot, we're having a look at the Jada Toys Robocop Light Up Action, Robocop 1.0. Stay tuned. Spot's going to have the review of Light Up Robocop 3.0 as well coming your way. Thanks for watching. See you next time.